Hey, this is Matt Foldy, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
Hey, this is Marcus Foligno, and you're listening to Locked On Wild.
You're Locked On Wild, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Wild. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, everybody. Good Saturday afternoon to you. That sound can mean only one thing. It is time for Denny's latest live show. So without further ado, I'll send it right over to the man himself. Denny, good afternoon.
Is it Saturday?
Sunday. What did I say?
Yeah, Saturday.
I'm on another planet right now. Ignore me.
At any rate, welcome everybody to What the Hell Are You Smoking? And today I'm just going to review the games and give some thoughts and views about how we can make our team better, even though we're playing very good hockey right now. The one thing I would like to see him do is get Ryan O'Reilly. He's a top-notch center in the dot. His averages is 56%, would not right away put him number one on our team. He's still a 50-point player. His cap hit is $4.5 million, which he's got 1 year left on his contract. I think we need to go for it. You can never have too many centers. And you know the history with Eck getting hurt. Now we got Rossi hurt. It just makes good sense. Adding O'Reilly to the team would definitely give us 4 lines deep in center. And that's a good thing. You know, right now the Wild are 8-1-1 in their last 10. Their defense is number 1 in the NHL for the week at 1.7 or 17 goals allowed. Colorado is second with 20. So that has to tell you a little bit about how the team's coming together. And I'm totally impressed. You know, at the beginning of the season, before everything started, Seth and I both said that the Wild would have the best goalie tandem in the league, and we do. And it's not even close. And the last time I can think of a goalie tandem this good was with Dwayne Rollinson and Fernandez way back when. But they were a bad team back then, and they didn't get much accolades. But, you know, Wally had a 936 save percentage, even only won 19 games, and he lost 18 because we couldn't score no goals. But our, you know, when you look up what the NHL podcasters are saying, they have us between 10th and 15th for goalies. And I don't know how they get those numbers. Wallstead is 926, and Gus Bus is 902, and those numbers are just going to keep going up. Our defense is coming together. We're not scoring as many goals as we should, but I think that's going to come together. As hard as I was on it in the beginning, the first 10, I'm seeing real life. And if you look on the bench, you know, I keep telling everybody, I look at what the bench is doing and saying, they're chirping again, and that's a good sign. And I don't know if that's because of Hines or not, but the team is playing pretty decent hockey now. We're good enough to get to the playoffs. I think we're still, a player short for a real playoff run. Now, if Billy goes out and gets Ryan O'Reilly, and I can't see any reason why he wouldn't want to, because you can never have too many centers on a team. If you're a center, you can play wing. You know, because right now we got Trenton playing third line center. He's not a third line center. I don't understand why they have him there. You know, they got Sturm registered to be on the wing today. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but Nico Sturm is a real center. Trennan is not. So I don't know what his thinking's there. And then, we put out the poll. You want to give the results, Seth, on the poll for our next 10 games?
Yeah, there was a wide range of responses, and it looks like the most common response was we've got a 5-on-5, 7-3, 4-6, 3-7. John Robinson said 3-7. Nathan said 3-7. Couple of 8-2s, a 4-6, or 4-4-2, but also 4-6. 6-2-2, 6-3-1. Yeah. So
Okay.
there's some that think that they'll struggle in this next 10, but for the most part, it seems like people are starting to kind of buy into the optimism.
Well, I can tell you this: when I first put that up for Seth, I was at 5-5, but I didn't think to look at the injuries. And I'll take Pittsburgh for example. They had 7 players. 7 of their starters were out when we played them last time. So they're including their starting goalie. And if I would have looked at that before, I would have picked them against Pittsburgh too, which I didn't. And today, originally I picked Winnipeg, but now with Hellebuck out, Winnipeg's really a one-line team now. They're 5-5 in their last 10, and I expect Minnesota to go in there and beat them today. They're not playing that well, and losing Hellebuck is a big blow to them. So I'm going 7-3 or 7-2-1 for the 10 instead of 5-5, simply because I'm adjusting it with the injury situation. And like I said before, Colorado's the real test. They're number 1 in the league for a reason. And we're right up there with them. We're 8-1-1. They're 9-0-1. We haven't gained any ground on them at all. They got 35 points. And the one thing that has changed for the Wild, the first half or the first 10 games, we had 5 players with 10 or more points. Now we have 8. So that's a big difference. We actually have a second line now with Boldy, Eck, and Johansson. And I'm going to talk about Johansson too. But we now have a second line. And when's the last time we've had a second line that produces? Boldy has now made the top 20 in the league with Kaprizov, and the last time that's happened was in 2021 season with Kaprizov and Zuggs. That's the last time we've had 2 players in the top 20. And so things are looking up for the Wild. I'm really getting on board. I really am. And like I say, Colorado's going to be the big test. And normally, we're about 50-50 with Colorado, no matter how good they are. And originally, I had a question mark with Edmonton, but the way Edmonton's playing, even though they just beat Florida, I'm picking us to beat Edmonton too. So it is what it is. I see good things in the future for the Wild. I still don't understand why Hines doesn't put Middleton back with favor. To get the most out of Middleton, you got to, even though he took some shots and pinched a little bit more, he was just excelling at it when he played with Faber. And what did he have last year? 8 goals? I don't
Yes, he had 8 goals last year.
Yeah. And what's he got this year? 1?
Yeah.
Big difference. I mean, he was pinching and shooting. And you don't see that much from him doing that now, although the last game he did. I just think you're maximizing what Middleton brings to the table by putting him back up with Faber. And Brodin is a top 20 defenseman. He's the only one ranked in the top 20. I couldn't believe that. I expect Faber and Spurgeon will both get back up there now that our defense is coming together. And I just like what I see from the Wild right now. I mean, when I saw him chirping on the bench, that means a lot. I know you probably think I'm all crazy, but you can tell how a team's doing by how they're on the bench and they're talking to each other and they're slapping each other on the back and, they're talking smack and all the good stuff. And when they're not playing well and they're not happy, you don't see any of that. And I'm seeing that now. So that's a good thing. Anything you want to say, Seth?
Yeah, I mean, as far as the two lines go, it's a cyclical process that we see. If you're able to push and sustain in the offensive zone, that takes pressure off of the defense and the goaltending. And having two lines to be able to do that goes a long way. So I know that Pittsburgh team was pretty beat up, but I always take joy in watching the Minnesota Wild just throttle their opponent. And
so do I.
make no mistake, that was a beatdown against the Pittsburgh Penguins, which it's not often you get to say that even when they're fully healthy or even when they're decimated with injuries. So I was doing the Maverick PA, but I was keeping an eye on the score. And I want to bring up this point though, because I think this is one that needs to be considered considerably from Big Bear. Notice how the skating got better with Vladimir Tarasenko out of the lineup.
Oh, good point. Big Bear, right on. Yeah, he's just slow. Yeah. We're not a fast team to begin with. I think we're ranked in the 22nd, something like that, in team speed.
Yeah.
That's not, taking Tarasenko up that considerably, I think, because, he's not fleet of foot. And, all you could do is hope when we got him. As it turns out, he is what he is. He was a third liner in Detroit, and he's really a fourth liner here.
It turns out that was not him being in a bad role. That was just his skills have diminished considerably.
Yeah. I think with Tarasenko, he doesn't engage in the plays like he should. As smart as hockey players he is, he doesn't get involved.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem. So, I'm glad he's on IR. I don't wish anybody to be sick and hurt, but I'd much rather see somebody else than Tarasenko.
Well, and it's led to, with Rossi being out, it's led to an opportunity for Danila Yurov, and he has been fine in a top six role. I know his minutes he's not getting a ton of minutes at this point, but he is still getting those opportunities. So it's a baby step. And I mean, we'll see as he gets more comfortable offensively, but so far in the first couple games he's played in the top six, got to be impressed.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because he's only playing on like 10 minutes and 20 seconds a game. That's ridiculous. You got to give him at least 15 and let him play. I mean, I don't see the reason for just playing him. His two-way game is good. The only thing I've seen him have a problem is coming out. And he'll learn that. I mean, he's learning what he can do and what he can't do.
Yeah.
But if you're only playing 10 minutes a game, that's going to take a whole lot on him. I mean, let him get out there. If he makes a mistake, he makes a mistake. I mean, all the vets make mistakes. I don't understand that reasoning. Well, I like what I see from him.
Yeah, and the biggest thing for young players is finding out or kind of figuring out where they fit on their line. And it's just this kind of mental block where they're like, well, I'm playing on line with Kirill. I don't want to take opportunities away from him. It's like, no, if you have the puck and you have an opportunity to put one on net, let it rip.
Well, what's he got? 3 points?
Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't have a goal yet, does he? Or does he?
He's got a couple goals, but that's something that he will grow into as he gets more accustomed and gets more comfortable playing in that type of a role. It's just something that is kind of coming along with his game.
So, at any rate, fans, what do you think about getting Ryan O'Reilly? It probably costs us a first, a fourth, and a player. And I would give him Jurasek because Minnesota is never going to get what they want from Jurasek. And they're not raising him right. So you might as well just move him. Because what you're teaching him, he's never going to be that.
Yeah.
So move him. And for Ryan O'Reilly, I do that in a heartbeat. You know, he's a 50-point player. He's one of the very best in the dot, and that can only help the team. And to build a championship team, you got to have that. So, what does everybody think of getting Ryan O'Reilly?
We'll let the comments continue to trickle in here, but I'm just looking on Daily Face-Off, and these are based off of their last game. So, what the Wilds currently are dealing with is Vinny Hinostroza will likely not play due to the injury that he suffered, and it sounds like he's going to be out for some time, which is unfortunate. So Nico Sturm will slot in his spot, I would imagine, but it's going to be interesting to see because I think they want to keep Foligno and Trenyan with Sturm. But then you still have Ben Jones and Tyler Pitlick
with Ogren.
You still have those guys with Ogren in the lineup. So is your third line Foligno, Trenyan, and Sturm? I'm fine with that as a line. It just would be nice to see that kind of settle in as your fourth line.
Exactly. And if we got Ryan O'Reilly, he would slot right in nicely there.
Let me just look at a couple things because we had somebody ask if Big Bear asked if he can fit in the Wild's cap situation. The Wilds currently have current cap space of just over $4 million. Their projected cap is $3 million at the end of the year. But you could get Nashville to have some deferred money. What's his contract?
Well, absolutely. And with 20 games over, he's got about $3 million left on his contract. And I'm sure you get Nashville to take half of it in a deal. So I don't see any problem there at all. You know, and Tuck is another one that I'm very high. And Russo said that he's asking for $12 million. I didn't hear that. I've heard 10. But he wants out of Buffalo. I mean, Buffalo's in a shambles, as always. And Tuck, he wants out. That's why maybe he said 12. I don't know. I didn't see or read anything about it. And I would really go after Tuck. Because, boy, we would have a hell of a team then. Just think of having Tuck and O'Reilly. Oh, that would be our third line. That would be awesome.
That'd be a good deadline as opposed to what we've had the last couple years.
See, now, I want 50-point players, as I've said many times. If you're not a 50-point player, you better be damn good at something else. And unfortunately, we have a lot of bottom six that aren't very good at anything. You know, I really like Hinostroza. He brings a passion and energy to the game that nobody else on the Wild provides. And, you know, I could think the last one, Lauco, was like that. And so I think we're going to miss Hinostroza. How long does he say he's out for?
They haven't said officially yet, but they said it did not look good.
Oh. Yeah, I didn't see how he got hurt. But one thing I've noticed from back in the 80s or even the 70s, hockey is all these foot injuries now. It never used to have that many. I mean, once in a while, somebody would get a foot injury. But today, everybody's getting foot injuries from blocking shots. You have to ask yourself, is it worth it blocking your shot with your foot and getting hurt, or letting them shoot the shot and let the goalie see the puck? I think I'd much rather let them take the shot, let the goalie see the puck, and make the save, because we certainly have the goalies to do it. And I got to tell you, on Judge Show this last week, they had the nerve to say that they were the first to talk about Steve William playing on the overtime. And I could tell you 3 weeks ago, I talked about why they don't have Steve on overtime. And then Russo last week said it. And then Judd has the nerve to say that they're the first to say it. Well, as you know, I had to interject and left a comment, and a lot of people said the same thing on my side, which is a good thing, because you're only 3 weeks late on that. God, I tell you, Judd and AJ are sometimes, they're very entertaining to listen to, but I don't know where they get some of their stuff. I just don't know. At any rate, what's anybody want to talk about? Let's do comments, questions.
Couple responses on O'Reilly, in which both say he is too old.
I knew that was coming up. He's 34. He's not too old. 56% in the dot, and he's projected to do 56 points this year. He's a 50-point man, and his contract at $4.5 million. That's excellent. I mean, you people got to get over this age thing. You're going to see more and more people playing till they're 40, simply because they work out all year. They got their dietitian specialists and all the good stuff. You just have to. 34 is not old anymore. In the 80s, if you hit 30, you were damn lucky. 27, 28 was pretty much the end of your career, except for a few. Now 30 is nothing. 35 is when people's clocks start winding down. I mean, you don't know when your body's going to start ticking down. I mean, look at Zuccarello. He's 37. Look how he plays. Don't tell me 34 is too old. Get your mind right, because 34 is not too old in today's game. Next.
Who is your ideal replacement for John Hines?
Todd Nelson. I've been beating on this one for about a year. Look what he's done for Pittsburgh already. He knows how to deal with kids. He knows how to win. He's won several cups. He'd be absolutely my top pick. And I really haven't looked anywhere else. David Carlisle, who was my first pick, he signed a long-term deal, and it's because he couldn't get a long-term deal in the NHL. And he wanted control. And no team wanted to do that. That's why he signed a long-term with Denver. So you're not going to see David. Todd Nelson is at top of my list now. And being he's only an assistant coach with Pittsburgh, and because Billy has all of those ins with Pittsburgh, there's a real possibility that we could get him if he wants them. And I don't see why he wouldn't, because with all the kids coming up, and Hines' vision on playing the kids is he doesn't like them, he doesn't trust them. No, he has to play him. I'm sure he's turning over at night in bed because he has to play him. I mean, look what he's doing the year off. That's terrible. And Olgren gets what, 6-7 minutes a game? That's ridiculous.
I thought I saw he had 14 against Pittsburgh.
Really?
Yeah, let me pull up the recap.
Somebody's knocking on my door. Hold on. I'll be right back.
Okay. I'll go through the minute numbers while Denny is taking care of that. So the low, Vinny Hinestroza played 8 minutes, but that's because he got hurt. Ben Jones played 10 minutes and had nothing other than 7 out of 12 in the faceoff circle. So that was congrats. Trenyon played 18 minutes. Pitlick played 11. Ogren played 13:31. Urov played 14:10. So some of that I'm sure was because of Hinestroza's injury, but still some varying numbers as far as the minutes go. It looks like Denny is back, so I'll go back to standard screen here.
Yeah. I have a note on my door. Live show, no knocking. Doesn't matter, I guess. Jesus. Okay. What'd I miss?
I was just going over the minute totals. Hinestroza played 8. So I think because of that, you saw Ogren play 13. Pitlick played 11. Jones played 10. And Urov played 14.
When you watch Jones play, he does create some things. Even though he's never had a point, the one thing he does is he gets the puck down. And maybe that's what they're asking him to do. Because when him and Ogren on the fourth line there, they get the puck down and then they peel off. And maybe that's exactly what they're supposed to do. Maybe that's what Hines has designed for them. Before I wanted to just run 3 lines. Well, we could still do that. I mean, you got to dress everybody, but you can just run 3 lines because that's basically what Hines does anyway. There are exceptions to the rule, but I'm not in favor of how Hines does his time management at all. Fourth line should never play less than 13 minutes. But it is what it is. Next question or comment?
I've got a question.
Yeah.
So Matt Boldy's contract right now it's no debate. It is the best value contract in the NHL. If he keeps up at his current pace, what do you think his next deal will look like?
Well, at the beginning of the season, I pegged him for a minimum of 80 up to 100. And it looks like that's going to come true. You're looking at 100-point player, because I could see him hit 100. Oh, 11, 12 million.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say 14. So somewhere in there, probably. I had that episode that I did a couple of weeks ago about Boldy. He's shooting more. He's more accurate. He's shooting harder than he has in previous seasons, and those are things that have staying power. I think, like, maybe the accuracy dips a little bit, but a harder shot doesn't. And if he really put in the time and worked on the accuracy, that's got staying power.
Oh, absolutely. I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk about the sticks they use today towards the old wood stick, the old Northlands back in the 70s and the 80s. Damn near all the top players had 100-mile-an-hour slap shots. Now nobody does. And I think it's because of the sticks. God, I remember Bobby Hall, Al McGinnis, just there's a whole array of players that had 100-mile-an-hour slap shot. And when they would do the, back then, the All-Star game, they always had the hardest shot deal. I remember one time Al McGinnis had a 108-mile-an-hour slap shot to win the contest. Now the average is like 88 to 93. What the hell happened? It has to be the sticks. I don't know. They got all the flex in the sticks. I don't think that's helping them. Plus, they break all the time.
There have been 5 teams. Sorry to cut you off. There have been 5 teams that have a 100+ mile an hour shot this year.
That's that's nothing.
The Minnesota Wild.
Nobody.
Minnesota Wild they are well below that.
Yep.
They rank 30. They have had 2 total 90+ mile an hour shots this year. That is dead last in the NHL.
What is up with that?
But it's funny because Matt Boldy had a 93 mile an hour shot. Brock Faber had a 91 mile an hour. Boldy's in like the 90th percentile in shot speed.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's why that's why I did that whole breakdown of that, because he had not been that previously. And I remember vividly last year, we were frustrated by his inaccuracy on those one-timers.
Yeah. No, he's really improved on his one-timers. He's learned how to play better in short space, and he's getting better at creating his space. And that's a learning thing. And he's getting quite good at it. Boldy's a star. Is he going to be a superstar? Well, if you hit 100 points, are you a superstar? I think so.
He's on pace for 48 goals and I think 95 points.
Yeah, that's getting close. Back in the 70s and 80s, I got to watch Gretzky play, and he had 200-point seasons, 4 seasons of 200 points. I know it's hard to believe, but that's how it was back then. And today, goalies look like the Marshmallow Man. They didn't have the equipment like they do now. And even though there was some very good goalies, we had Joey Milosh and a few others, but I know what I wanted to bring up. I think next show, I got a former North Star coming on, Scott Butestead, and he's going to talk about his career year, which was 1985 with the North Stars. So I'll just keep you in touch with that. But he's already said yes, and I think this coming Sunday he's coming on, and which I'm really looking forward to. And I'm also trying.
This is Thanksgiving weekend.
Oh yeah.
So we may need to move to a Monday night.
Monday. Okay, yeah. In fact, we should move it to Monday. Monday at 8?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, Monday at 8. And then I'm trying to get Wally Carbo to come on. Wally, when he started his career, he worked for Spectrum Sports, and he did all the pregame stuff for the North Stars, and he also did Raceway Park and Elko. And I want to try and get him on to talk about his early years when he was just there, because he was just a hoot. And so I'm working on that. And plus, I got a few other North Stars that are considering coming on now too. So, but until they say yes, I'm not going to tell you who they are, and I don't even know if you want to hear about the old North Stars, but I had a lot of friends on the North Stars.
I think plenty of people do. I think there's a very big audience for that. So,
all right, yeah, because Brad Maxwell is a very good friend of mine, and Tommy McCarthy and Tommy Younghands, Jack Carlson, and they all participated when I used to be a fundraiser for the CAP agency for Dakota and Scott counties. They all came to my races. And I got clips of them racing that I'll have Seth put on if I get him on there. But yeah. So next questions.
A few of them here.
Okay,
John wants
go.
to know why the Wild are against Hunter Haight at center.
Yeah, ask Hines. Who knows? I mean, I would love to see I told you beginning of the year I'd like to see a year of Ogren and Hunter Height as one line. I'm sticking with that because Jesus, they would be fast. They got good wheels. They all got good shots. I don't know why they don't give him a chance, but that's why I don't like Hines. He doesn't give the kids a chance to excel. And you look at Zeev William. If they would just let him loose and let him go, he's taken a lot of strides. And, as I brought this up before, they really need to put him into overtime. 3-on-3 with Zeev William, Jesus, that's a beautiful picture to think of. With Boldy and Kaprizov, woo!
But you could make a mistake. You can make a potential mistake that could impact the game. We can't have that.
Yeah. What a cover. Oh, and I saw another deal that Russo brought up, that Billy was talking to the Islanders about Bo Horvat and who's their other center there? Oh, I forget his name.
Not Lee, is it?
No. Barzal. That he was inquiring about those two. No. The Islanders are going to make the playoffs with Schaefer and Noah Dobson in the back and with Horvat Barzal up front. The Islanders now really have a very good team. I see good things for the Islanders in the future. I mean, that Schaefer kid, Jesus, he's breaking all the records. I don't know how much you guys follow the Islanders. I always have. But the Schaefer kid, it's just a kid, and they're letting him play. And they're getting the results because of it. And Hines has to look at that. Let Zeev play and let him go. Let him loose. Let him play. Because you're not going to hurt the team. Zeev his two-way game is coming along just fine. And you just got to let him loose so he knows what he can do and what he can't do. And you're not going to do that by protecting him. I don't even know what protecting means. Less minutes is all I can see. God, it's ridiculous. Next question.
Russo said that the Wild have looked into the potential of maybe moving Ryan Hartman.
Yeah. Moving him for what? I mean, that's, hearsay as far as I'm concerned. What are they going to get for him? Maybe in a trade for Ryan O'Reilly? Who knows?
Yeah, it feels like it would have to be as part of another move.
Because, I looked at the top 25 players that the NHL put out for possible trades. And of course, Tuck is in there. And they got all the, and Nazem Kadri's in there. I don't like Kadri's contract, though. He's signed for another 4 years and $7 million, even though it might be a good deal, 4 years. I think 4 years, it's a little too long. But, if we could get Kadri on a good deal, I'd do that too. Because he's a hell of a player. When he played for Colorado and they won the Cup, he was a big part of that, and the problem with Calgary is their coach doesn't have much sense when it comes for offense and what to do. They're very defensive orientated, but that's not winning them any games. Not really. What, second last in the league now? I think Nashville might be last. And that's why I'm, Nashville's open for business. St. Louis is open for business. Buffalo's open for business. There's got to be a move we can make. And I got a feeling Billy isn't going to do anything. I don't know. What do you guys think? Yeah. I just don't see Billy doing anything.
I think he certainly will make a move, but it just depends on who and what are you bringing in. Like, we've already heard the reports that they're looking into some middle six help. Yeah, middle six is fine if it's second line.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like it's great. It's great that Marcus Johansson is playing as well as he is right now. But based off of what we have seen for the last 3 years, that's not something that you can bank on.
Well, I can tell you this. He averaged 11 goals a year when he had a contract. Now he's playing for a contract. And, when he played for Sweden in the championship in the Worlds, he had 6 points in 4 games. He had 3 goals, 3 assists, and he played like a beast. But that didn't translate when he got over here, when he got his contract. His worth ethic, well, as we all know, he just skate up and down the ice and not do it. Now he's very engaged, and he might be the best contract on the team for a minimum. What do you get? 800,000.
Yeah, 800K.
Yeah, and he's going to end up probably 25 goals. He's playing for a contract, so we got to sign him 1 year at a time because there's nothing wrong with the way he's playing now. Like Seth said, last couple of years, he just he didn't have his heart into it or whatever, but he never put forth the effort that he should have. Now he is.
I'm not much of a gambler, but I know that if you have data to back up something going one way or the other, you trust that. Like, hey, I've played this slot machine 10 times and I haven't won. I'm due. Not necessarily.
That's true.
So that's kind of where I come at with it, is like, we have data over the last 3 seasons.
Yeah.
That has, 80-85% been just kind of out there.
Well, when you average 11 goals a year, that tells you
Yeah.
everything right there. And he's going to hit. I bet he hits 25 this year because he's very engaged.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't seen that since he started playing here.
Yeah, if he continues to play like this at this point, I don't know if I would be amenable to like an extension of some sort, but I would be fine with letting him stay in there.
The one thing Mojo does is his blue line entry is excellent. He creates space when he skates north-south. And we seem to have a problem with that for whatever reason, but Mojo does a good job of that. So, I give him props when he's got it coming. And I can't say nothing bad about his game. I've been very hard on him the last couple of years, but this year he's, like I say, he's playing for a contract. He wants to keep playing. Next question.
Trav is looking at the penalty kill. He says the Wild need to simplify and go back to a tight box. When they've tried the diamond, especially the wedge, they have looked awful and way too loose.
Well, when Hines first came in, he moved the defense up to the blue line to make it harder for the forwards to come in, make it more difficult. And that worked for a while. And I'm not sure why they changed it, because now if you look at the defense, they're starting about 2 feet behind the blue line. They need to be in front of the blue line if they're going to do that. And then it looks like they're doing more zone. You're either playing zone or man-to-man on the penalty kill. And I think they have to rearrange what they're doing, because I'm not sure what they're doing, because they're not very good at whatever they're doing. They're just, they got to figure it out. Capiano or whatever his name is, I'm not sure what he's trying to get accomplished, because it's not working. If you're going to fight for the blue line, you got to have your players up in front of the blue line. So if they make a move, you got coverage, and they're not doing that. And entries, they don't have no problem entering our zone. And when you have no problem entering the zone, then they can set up and move the puck around, and of course, they get the open shot and they score. And that's why we're so bad. So they got to change what they're doing with the entry, as far as I'm concerned. And as Trev said, yeah, the diamond is not working at all. I don't see an advantage in the diamond on the penalty kill. You got to do the box with a zone and man, or a little of both. Good one, Trev. Next.
Ron says Tuck would be okay if it's a sign and trade. Can't give up the assets if he's a rental. The Wild are not one player away from being a contender.
Nope, we're two. Absolutely. And it'll absolutely be a sign and trade. He's what, 27? I think he's 27. He's a 70, 75 point man every year. He's a a blue collar power forward. He never takes the game off. I would absolutely give up a first, a third, and a couple players to get him, because there's not many players like Tuck today, and he wants out of Buffalo. Who doesn't want out of Buffalo? And I see a lot of talk about everybody's inquiring about Tage Thompson. He has he's signed for another 4 years at $7 million. Buffalo would be crazy to trade him unless they get like 5 number ones and 5 players, because that's such a good contract. And Tage is a beast. I talked about Tage and Tuck last year for my trade deals, right? Well, I don't think the general manager and the coach are there much longer. Buffalo, even though they just killed Chicago, they're still in last place. They're playing very soft. And when you're playing soft, it's because you really don't care. And that's how Buffalo played. So I wish we would go after Tuck, but who knows? I don't know if he's one of Billy's boys or not. Next.
We'll find out at some point.
Yep.
Arts Key said he noticed many attempts to clear the puck from their own zone in the PK end up failing. Like, you have an attempt blocked, whiff on a clearing attempt, whatever it may be. The Wild have struggled to get the puck out of the zone when they're on the kill.
They don't do anything right on the penalty kill. They really don't. Look how fast teams set up on us. That's not by accident. That's by design. They look at what the Wild are doing, and every team figures out how to go by it. They got to change it up. Like I said, they got their 2 defenders up top, high, 2 feet behind the blue line now, and you're going to make it hard for them to get in the blue line. They got to be in front of the blue line so they can make a decision one way or another, and then have your backup cover. And they're not doing that. They're not doing anything right on the penalty kill. I agree. Next.
What about Robert Thomas?
Yeah, I like him as a player. What kind of contract does he have?
He just signed, I believe not last off season, but the one before, signed a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he signed for $8.125 every year until after the 2030-2031 season.
That's not a bad contract. I mean, I like him. He's a good player.
He's 26.
Yeah.
I would take him.
Yeah, I would too. It's a good bring up. Next.
Let's see. what we have next. Glenn is wondering how long before some of the young players ask for a trade. It's similar to where Jack McBain was, where he said, no, I'm not going to play here, and refused to sign.
Yeah, you got to play right away with Utah. Imagine that. You'd never get that chance here. Not the way, as we talked about this last week, the disconnect between the Iowa Wild and here is probably the worst in the NHL. We've only had two players, since Billy has started his regime here, that have made it from Iowa to here. What does that tell you? That's why none of the kids want to play here, because they know they're never going to get a shot. We develop all the kids for someone else to play. That's really how it works. That's why when I'm looking at trades, I don't care if we give up assets, because they're never going to get to play with us anyway. Not under this regime and how they're working. And McDaniel isn't the only one who said no here. There's been several. So good point. Next.
John Robinson says Tuck and Zach Benson for Rossi, Ogren, Lambos in a second.
Say that one more time.
Alex Tuck and Zach Benson, who's a young center, for Rossi, Ogren, Lambos, and a second.
Let me think about them. That's an interesting. And before Rossi got hurt, he was projected to hit 76 points this year before he got hurt. And that was a week when he disappeared because he couldn't hardly play. I'm very high on Rossi. I don't know if I'd give up Rossi. When you think back, look at who the best player in the league is right now. It's McKinnon. It took him 5 years before he took off. Rossi's only in his third year, and I talked about this at the beginning of the season. You're going to see good things from Rossi going forward. And when you're projected to hit 76 points before he got hurt, that's a big jump from 60 to 76. That's a huge jump. Rossi's going to be one hell of a player. I don't know. Is it a foot or a leg, or does anybody know?
It was, from what I was told, it was a lower body injury. No specifics other than that. But it was interesting that they went out of their way to mention that he has been dealing with it for a while.
Yeah. I'm wondering if it's not a bone bruise.
Could be.
Yeah, because, bone bruises, they're tough to deal with. And, they get worse before they get better. So I'm thinking that's probably, in the ankle somewhere.
Yeah.
Who knows? But that's what it sounds like to me.
Puck off the kneecap, something like that.
Yeah. I think they got to take a look at the skates and put more protection around, because so many players now. I mean, it's epidemic of how many players are hurt. From blocking shots with their feet. And it really shows. That's one thing I would have the NHL look at in the off season. And then I'd also recommend bringing back the old CCMs and the Northwood wood sticks, because nobody got 100-mile-an-hour slap shots anymore. And that used to be the thing. Not so much now. Now it's quick wrist shot is most prevalent. You don't see that many slappers today. But I tell you what, back in the 80s, that was the shot. The last time we had a really good slapper was Brian Ralston. I remember one time it was on a penalty shot. He put a slapper. He beat the goalie, was standing still. He had no chance at all. That was a beautiful thing. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but yeah, Wilson had a hell of a slap shot. And he's really the last one that I can think of that had a slapper like that. Back in the 80s, I used to watch Bobby Hall and Jesus and Gordie Howe and Frank Mahovlich. And then you get all the Montreal players, Jean-Claude, and I mean, there's just so many players. That's how they scored, was with the slapper. And the best hockey team I ever saw in my life was the Russian Red Army. And what they would do is they would skate up, fake a slapper, move to the left or right, depending on what the defenseman, and then unload. And oh God, they were so fun to watch because nobody was doing it then. Not like that. And that's another thing I would suggest to Hines is watch the old Russian Red Army games, because they didn't go straight up and down. They circled. Everybody's always circling. Everybody's always in motion. And you couldn't stop them. You just couldn't stop them. They were that good. I remember when the NHL All-Stars played the Russian Red Army, they just killed us. I mean, we had no chance at all. They just killed us. You know, we're talking about Bobby Orr and, I mean, everybody. It was just Esposito and, oh, Jesus. They made us look stupid. That's how good they were. And, of course, you're never going to see hockey like that again. But just to give an idea, you know, the Wild use a 2-1-2 prevalently, and they turn into a 2-3 a lot of times. And there's nothing wrong with that, but everybody plays that. So maybe change it up and start doing the rotation where everybody's circling, nobody's standing still. Worked great back then. I can't see why it wouldn't work now. Just another idea to think about. Any more questions?
Score prediction for today's game.
Oh, Jesus. You know, if we score 3, we're going to win. That's how good our defense is now. And who's in it? Gus Bus or Wallstead?
I don't know if they have confirmed yet, but I thought I saw that Jesper is starting.
Well, Jesper Wallstedt. I could see another shutout. Now I got to, you know, I'm going to tell you a couple stories here. Now, you know, at the beginning of the season, I told you we would have the best goalie tandem. I also told you that Wallstedt was the best draft pick that we've ever made. And I told you last week, Wallstedt is the best goalie in the league. And I'm going to tell you how special he really is. We've had, you know, Minnesota's been lucky. We've always had some very good goalies. You go back to Dwayne Olsen. He had a .933 save percentage one year. And Dubnyk had several. I mean, you know, he had 3 back-to-back shutouts a couple of times over the years. Wallstedt's going to be better than any of them. That's how good he really is. And as Seth and I talked about last show, he reads the play so well. And he's what I call very quiet in the goal. He reads the play. He's got, you know, and you saw that save in the shootout. That shows you how good his glove is. Jesus, that was a thing of beauty. And I think you're going to see he's only going to get better. Like I said, he's going to be the best goalie of all time in the Wild history, and that's saying a lot. And with that, I think I'm done for the show. Anybody got anything else to say?
Looks pretty quiet, so I think we're good. Okay,
well, as of always, thank you so much for listening to me and Seth rant rave. From the bottom of my heart, really. I mean, this is my life now. And I almost forgot to tell you, I have officially hit 30,000 views in my first year of podcasting. And that's a big deal. And it's all because of you fans. So thank you much. And we'll see you Monday at 8. Bye, everybody.